Hi, and welcome to Book Chat with Julie. It's April. April is a strong literary month. I bet you didn't know that. It is National Library Week is in April. And I want to encourage you that if your library is open or if it's been closed for a year, get out there and give a shout out to your librarians because they have still been working for you. And whether they're open or closed, they've probably been doing curbside. They've probably been doing videos like we have here in North Little Rock. But go to your community library and give a shout out to your library and your librarians for all the good things that they do for you. Another strong literary day in April is April 12th, and that's considered Deer Day. Drop everything and read day. It's kind of one of my favorite days. I remember in junior high, we used to have SSR every day after lunch, sustained silent reading for 20 minutes. Everybody, janitors, principal, the cooks, the teachers, the students, anybody that was in the building of my junior high had to stop sustained silent reading for 20 minutes every day. It was my most favorite time of the day, of the whole school day, except for social hour. But that was my favorite time, and I always had a book, and 20 minutes was never enough. But April 12th is Deer Day, Drop Everything and Read Day, and it is in celebration of Beverly Cleary's birthday. Now, as I'm recording this, I have to announce that she did pass away just this past weekend. So that would have been the end of March that she passed away. So April 12th would have been her 105th birthday. So for 104 years, Beverly Cleary was our first readers. Everybody that's a reader knows that you started out with Ramona the Pest. Beezus and Ramona, in all of her books, these are your first chapter books that you probably started with in about second grade. So Beverly Cleary, she took us through our first readers books, early education, and then she took us through our teen years with her works, and she has adult works out there that took us into adulthood. So on April 12th, drop everything and read your favorite book, read a new book, or go back and read Ramona the Pest. I think at all times, at some point in your life, you probably felt like you were Ramona the Pest, and you probably had a neighbor that was a Ramona the Pest. So go back and read it to remind you who Ramona was. So in April, I was going to continue with my go-to authors and new releases. Now, these are some new releases that I didn't want to talk about in March because I knew that they were coming out. In fact, these all arrived in my mail in the last week and a half, and I have been busy. So the first one I'm going to introduce you to is Patty Callahan, and she's a historical fiction author. She does have some books that are not necessarily historical fiction, and you would find those under Patty Callahan Henry. But Patty Callahan just had her publishing date. I was fortunate enough to get to be on a little Zoom call, and I got to wave and say hello, but then when the authors start talking, you kind of have to take your screen down. But I at least got to be on the screen next to her, and I had a question that I typed in, and it was almost like being there. I can't wait until authors can tour around again in person. But Surviving Savannah, it just came out, and last month I told you about Kristen Hanna's Four Winds and that I read it in 24 hours because it was that good to me. Surviving Savannah, I didn't read it in 24 hours only because I did not want it to end. It was one of those ones that I had to slow down because the story is so beautifully written that I did not want it to end. So I did slow down and got it done in 2 days instead of one. But it is set in 1838, and it's the story of the steamship Pulaski. That is a steamship that set sail off of Savannah and was going to be out to sea for about 3 days. And it carried only the elite of Savannah. But after the first day, it exploded, it caught on fire, and it sank. And it's also known, the steamship Pulaski is also known as the Titanic of the South. It was not as big and it didn't have as many casualties, but still there were casualties. This is my copy, and if I were to show you my personal copy, you would find a couple pages where actually the pages were ripped. They didn't come that way. They were ripped because when I was reading, I was holding on so tightly, gasping for water. And I won't tell you anything else because I don't want to give anybody's storyline away. But you do follow, it's a dual timeline, and you do follow the people that were on the ship and current day timelines, and how they blended together is just beautiful. So if you get a chance to read Surviving Savannah by Patty Callahan, please do. Another great nonfiction book that I've recently read too by Patty Callahan is Becoming Mrs. Lewis. And this one is about C.S. Lewis and people that he knew, and Joy, who she knew him. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to give away secrets in book chat. I want you to go read the books. But this has been a great read as well. Becoming Mrs. Lewis. And Patty Callahan has a new book coming out in October that I can't wait for. And it's not necessarily a follow-up to Becoming Mrs. Lewis, but it does have something similar. And I cannot wait for October to get here because I will clear the decks and I will be waiting for my book to arrive. The next book that I'm going to tell you about is on the screen. I don't have the actual book to hold up, but this was another 24-hour read for me during our snow days, and it is called The Nature of Fragile Things, and it's set in 1906 in San Francisco. It's by Susan Meissner, who is another wonderful historical fiction writer. The story surrounds the San Francisco earthquake in 1906. It's a historical fiction, but it's another one of those. There are so many twists and turns and thrillers mixed in with it. You'll go, am I reading not historical fiction or am I reading a thriller? Am I reading a mystery? You have to read it to find out. Another go-to author that I patiently waited for. Some of these books I did support some outside indie bookshops because is J.T. Ellison, and some of the independent bookshops, if you order for them, and this is important to me because I love a signed copy. And by ordering the signed copy coming in my mail, that also allowed me, again, to have access to a Zoom interview with J.T. Ellison. And this is Her Dark Lies. This is a thriller. It's not a historical fiction, but it's a thriller. And if you've ever read J.T. Ellison, you know that her books have that thriller twist to them, a little mystery and intrigue. And Her Dark Lies is you are invited to a wedding that you won't forget, and some won't survive. So I'm about halfway through on that one. Not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to tell you where it's at or who the guests are or who the bride is. I want you to go out there and find that. Another great go-to author for me that a lot of people have read, Lisa Scottolini. Mystery, thriller, crime books, except this one, Eternal. She broke away from that, and this is a historical fiction. This is her very first historical fiction book, and her Zoom call, because this is a signed copy. Actually, I have here's her autograph. My little book plate to put in it. I ordered this one from an indie book shop as well. out of Georgia, and on her Zoom call, she's so excited about having a historical fiction book that she could almost hardly contain some of her answers, because she's just so excited for something new that she did in historical fiction. She said this one has been on her mind and her heart for many, many years, and she finally was able to put pen to paper, or fingers to the keyboard, however they want to say it now, and came out with Eternal. And it's beginning in 1936, and it's a sweeping epic fueled by shocking true events. So this is my next book to get started on as soon as I get through with Her Dark Lies. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is, again, another historical fiction. Like I said, I've kind of been on a historical fiction run lately, which is okay for right now, because next month in May, when I come back for book chat, I will have my books that I have stacked up over on a table that you can't see, getting ready for my pool reads, getting out on my deck, getting out in the sun. So I have a whole stack of books to introduce to you that will be great summer reads, and that will be in May. But the last book that I want to show you is Linda Rutledge, and it's called West with Giraffes. And this is a very new author to me. I don't really know much about her, but the book, after I read Four Winds, I kind of started looking around it to see what else was out there. But the Four Winds is also, it begins in 1936. It's getting near the Depression, and this also has to do with the Dust Bowl. An emotional, rousing novel inspired by the incredible true story of two giraffes who made headlines and won the hearts of Depression-era America. So this, again, is on my to-be-read pile, and I will keep you posted. It looks really good. I've listened to a little bit of the audio, which has intrigued me. And so here we go to find out about the two giraffes that made it through the Dust Bowl. So I hope this spring that you're enjoying the sunshine. I'm hoping that you're enjoying a little bit of college basketball. We are at our house. It's kind of a big deal at our house, even if our teams aren't in it. As of today, when I'm recording this, I can give a shout out to Woo Pig Suey. As you can tell, I'm not a big hog follower because I don't even know how to call the hogs, and I've lived here for 20 years. But I am excited for the hogs. They have made it to the Elite Eight as of today. And so here we go. We've got a couple more rounds of basketball. And then, like I said, in May, I'm going to talk a little bit about summertime, pool time reads. Get your pool basket ready. I've got a little plastic basket that I take to the pool with me or out on my deck, and it's already filling up with those summertime reads. Also in May, I will introduce you to our summer reading program, and we'll have another summer reading challenge that I'll introduce you to. So I hope you'll join me in May. And these historical fiction books are filled with a lot of history and a lot of some mystery, intrigue, thriller. So just join me in reading some of these, and comment, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, however you're watching this book chat. Let us know you're out there. Comment on which books you've read, if you've read any of these, and let me know. So, and I thank you again for joining me for another book chat with Julie. Happy spring!